So a blockade of Artsakh has entered its fifth day as a group of Azerbaijani protesters are continuing to block the only route between Armenia and Artsakh. To discuss this, I'm joined by the State Minister of Artsakh, Mr. Ruben Vardanyan. Mr. Vardanyan, thanks again for your time.
A pleasure.
We are hearing constantly that the blockade is causing a humanitarian disaster in Artsakh. Can you explain exactly how the blockade is affecting the lives of the people of Artsakh?
I don't want to exaggerate because it's a disaster. It's not about what we have a horrible life. It's a question, would somebody block our access to the world, which is unacceptable. Yes, our people will all suffering because we have some limitation of the benzene, the gasoline, the medicaments, the food, but at the same time, we are in a very strong mood. We are not in any panic or any type of the depression. We all understand this is fight, and we're ready for a fight. This is why, in one hand, yes, it's a humanitarian crisis, which I think once again showing the world this is impossible for us to live under Azerbaijan supervision, because it's showing again what they are not ready to do anything normal for their own people, not about us. Let's forget about Armenians. It's let's ask the question, how many times you can do protests in Azerbaijan, any other places, ecological, for example, ecological protests. I was asking how many other places you may ever made any ecological protested in Azerbaijan, and it was zero. So I think it's a more important question. I think everyone in the world now can better realize what Azerbaijan is, how they behave, and what they want to do with us is unacceptable for discussion, about any discussion about what we can live under their control.
And you are in Stepanakert, you are no stranger to the city. The Armenians of Artsakh have faced crises and wars in the past. You kind of mentioned it, but they are quite resilient. Can you describe the mood in Artsakh?
I just came back from my trip to Martakert, and I can tell you, it's amazing. Every day I'm surprised about energy, again, encouraging, patient, same time, big, strong DNA of being Armenian and being proud what you are Artsakh, Armenian person. And it's amazing. Your resilience level of resilience is unbelievable. And I'll say honestly, on one hand, maybe I need to say thank you to Azerbaijan, what they did for us, because this blockade just unified more us together.
And the gas supply to Artsakh was cut off. We've seen the gas supply to Artsakh get cut off before. The gas supply has now been restored. Schools will reopen now due to the restoration of the supply. What did it take to get the gas supply restored?
You know, I think they did it. They cut off, they bring back. The question, I think they realize if they try to build this only ecological protest, it's very difficult to explain the world why at the same time gas was cut off. And also they, I think, realize that this will be going nowhere, because more they're creating pressure to us, it's becoming more clear what the world needs to respond to, and the world needs to, for example, organize humanitarian aircraft lift to help Artsakh people to get food, medicaments, and others. So in one hand, we are now in a very difficult situation. In one hand, they want to make much more harsh for us our life, and more, on the other hand, more we're doing against us, more they will get backward pressure from the world, and the chance that we'll get humanitarian airplanes landing to Stepanakert airport will be much more higher chance, because of what we're doing is basically they giving more and more arguments why it needs to happen.
And I mean, Stepanakert airport is completely ready to operate, but doesn't operate due to Azerbaijani objections. I mean, there's a lot of talk now about the Stepanakert airport opening. What do you think about all this talk?
I think it's only one solution, because our dependability for the road is too high, and the Russian peacekeeper cannot provide full guarantee when tomorrow or week later, for other real and unreal reason, Azerbaijan again will not close the road. That's why our dependability from the road too high, and nobody can provide us guarantee this road cannot be closed anytime they want it.
And I mean, you mentioned that these protesters are complaining about the destruction of the environment, about mines and stuff, but many feel that this narrative is present for the consumption of foreigners or people who aren't that familiar with Nagorno-Karabakh or the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. What do you think about these eco-protesters in Lachin?
First of all, I think many of our Armenian journalists recognize the face of these people. They are not ecologists, they are just military special service people. The second, we always said with no problem, let's hire or let's invite from UN or any other international organization the best ecological specialists and they check the region. Let's go not only to Derenbon and Kashen, let's go for Karvajar, let's go for Haritak, let's go many places where in this region we also worry about ecology. We really believe ecology is a very important subject. We believe ecology is very critical for any neighbors to be worried. We accept this. That's why we're happy to organize international trip for people who have a very well-known name worldwide, who can be independent and who can check not only these two places, but other places also in Azerbaijan, and we can see what's happening in our region. If it's a real ecology concern.
And obviously the negotiations taking place are very delicate and very complex. Do you expect the route between Armenia and Artsakh to be open soon?
I don't know, because we don't have a direct negotiation. It's also one of the questions. We always said, if you have ecology issues, we have an Artsakh state, we have a special department who is responsible for environment, defending environment situation, environmental in Artsakh. We have all opportunities to create, join with some international representative with the Russian peacemakers group of people who will discuss how and what needs to be done to create the working group, but the normal process, which needs to be from our Artsakh government and Azerbaijan government. But because we don't want to recognize this, it's very difficult to have any negotiations. Why we don't know how long and when it will help be open, but we are ready for this.
And I have two more questions, Mr. State Minister. First, what can Armenians around the world do? People feel like they are looking on hopelessly in cities across the world. But you have suggested in the past that people always have a way, means to be proactive. So what would your message be to Armenians around the world who are observing what's going on in Artsakh at the moment?
I want to make very clear statement for all Armenians living around the world. Dear Armenians, you need to understand, Artsakh is a motherland not only for Artsakh, Karabakh, Armenians, world needs to recognize. This is our motherland. This is one of the last places where we've been living thousands of years. I want to remind everyone, Master of Mashto's first school, where he started to teach kids Armenian alphabet was in Amaras, in Artsakh. We need to understand, losing Artsakh is not like we'll be paying for Artsakh people. It will be paying, and it's a tragedy for entire Armenian world. This is number one. Number two, being indifferent is destroying you, not us. We're not indifferent. You are indifferent. You are making your life horrible, saying it's not my problem. Because this is a time to wake up, and this is a time for all of us say, you know what, this is my problem. It's not the problem of somebody else. The third, if you really believe this is Armenian problem, and this is you wake up, what you can do is very simple. You can do just raising your voice, creating big wave of pressure for humanitarian support, creating humanitarian airlift, making everything possible what we will get the all necessary product that we needed without permission of Azeri protested or Azerbaijan government. We need to create pressure to UN to have a mandate for Russian peacekeeper, to have a stronger mandate, bigger number of the militaries. We need to have a bigger pressure for ecology to government check entire region, not only two, but we are ready to check everything what happened in Artsakh or in Azerbaijan. We need to create more pressure. People will know what's happening in Artsakh, just informing the public awareness about us. You can do just the support of the project we're doing, because we have a team and we are making Mersar area we're our mountainous agency doing everything possible to help Artsakh. And you can, based in Yerevan, and you can help them to do many things by dedicating your time, your network, dedicating your other resources. We need to organize some online education. We need to do some medical operation by using online. We need to do some development of some special equipment which needs to be used for in this kind of situation. That's why you can do a lot. Just my major ask to you, don't be indifferent. Don't be indifferent for yourself, not for us.
And finally, Mr. Vardanyan, I just want to ask, what kind of lessons do you think we can draw from this crisis? How can Azerbaijan's intimidation and coercive policies be reversed and used against it? In other words, is there a way for Armenians to make Azerbaijan's aggressive policies backfire on Azerbaijan?
I think it's the main lesson that we need to learn. Our independence, our future, our security, number one, depends from us, not from somebody else. We need to become unified. We need to become like one strong society who trust each other, trust the government, trust the leaders, and together doing everything possible to show who we are. And second, we need to learn the lesson saying the only way that Azerbaijan will accept the way what we're offering them to sit around the table and talk about the future relationship, we are strong. We are strong, we are together with inside of Artsakh and with Armenian world. More will be separated, more we are fighting against each other, more will be benefit. This is why we're doing everything possible to try to create the hatredness between different Armenian groups. We need to understand the major lesson we need to learn. Armenian will be unbeatable. It will become really together, understanding what is our problem, which external is much more important compared to internal problems. And the other lesson we learned, that if you want to get help for anyone, first do yourself 100% what you can do, show your commitment, your readiness to take all the dangers, all the difficulties, all the risks, and after that you can more easily convince people to help you. Otherwise, just don't sitting in around the table and waiting somebody will help you will not go anywhere.
Well, Mr. State Minister, I really appreciate it. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, and I have no doubt we will go and continue to do what we believe is right. Stay in Artsakh, be strong, and be happy being Armenian.
Thank you very much again, and thank you for following us on CivilNet.